Hello and welcome to Box to Board. Now this video is feedback from our first session of Alien RPG and an honest review of the system so far. So if you want to have a look at the book itself, we have a first look / unboxing video, and there's going to be a link appearing up here somewhere on the screen. And if you want to go to that, I would highly recommend it because you'll get a good chance to have a look at the book and it'll make a lot more sense. So you might want to watch that first before you watch this video. So basically last night, I GM'd the mission at the end of this, Hadley's Hope, and it was with a couple of other guys who are experienced role players, and we kind of set it up, and it was in the cinematic. It's a cinematic scenario, so there's two sort of modes in this game. So it's a one shot, so you've got a campaign mode and you've got a cinematic mode. There were a couple of things that are distinctive about the game. First of all, it's set in the Alien universe, which is very dark and brooding, so it's sci-fi horror. So you want to, in that kind of situation, to capture what Alien's all about. You want to have that tension, you want to have that sense of the building, mounting tension, stealth's going to matter, you want to have things scurrying about, you want to have this sort of sense of fear building in the session, and you want to have a sense of impending doom. Without giving too much away, the scenario revolved around trying to escape Hadley's Hope with pre-gen characters, and yeah, that was it. And it worked. It was really effective. We had a lot of fun. It was really enjoyable. Good fun to GM, and the guys enjoyed it as well. So it was one of those games that I'd say this was a success. But what made it a success is what I really want to focus in on, and use that as a way to look at the game itself. So the first thing that made it a really good success was that the Hadley's Hope mission was actually quite well written. It was quite open-ended, in the sense that you were given basically a direction they would want to go, a goal that they were trying to achieve, a setup, and then a map. And you, as GM, you were told where different things were and a bit about locations. So you've got maps of the different levels, things they've got to get to achieve their objective, but also then sort of events and things that could happen and xenomorphs that could appear at different points, and how they would appear was really interesting. So that was quite cool. So that was well written. But the thing that was the standout mechanic, as I thought would be, to be honest, was stress and panic. The stress dice is a really nice system. What basically Free League do with a lot of their games is pulling dice around skill sheets. So if you've got a skill of 5, that's 5 dice, and you'll have an attribute that's based on that adds dice into it. But what they also have, and then it's how many sixes can you roll a 6? If you roll 6, it's a success. In this game, what they've done, which is really quite nice and helps to turn this into something quite interesting, is the stress dice. And the stress mechanic basically works like this. You can re-roll but you'll get a stress dice. And the stress dice count, a success in that counts as a 6. But if you roll a 1 on your stress dice, you have a panic. And there's a table, you roll against a d6 as GM, I would suggest, and add the stress level of the person who's having panic to the dice roll, and look up on a table to see what happens. And the things that can happen can range from a trembling to a scream, which in this game can be a big deal, to fleeing and running for cover, to going catatonic, which whenever you've got a xenomorph trying to bite your face off is probably not the thing to do. The beautiful thing about stress is that it builds and builds and builds. So at the start of the game, people will make completely different decisions to the end of the game. Because at the end of the game, we were in a situation where, do you want to search this room? No, let's not. Because if we do, there's a chance that we'll keep building up that stress level. And that really added something to the game. It really meant that there was that sense of tension towards the end, and it moving towards that climax. And the beautiful thing about that is, this game has got probably one of the things that there's, people get a little bit concerned about is how many aliens are there, how many monsters are there. In this situation, you don't need tons and tons and tons of different things, because you build that, you're ramping up that tension to the big reveal moment. And certainly for one shot, it's awesome. It's awesome. The thing I really, that mechanic in itself, I thought was just really, really clever. And it added something that meant that people at one point, they were rolling loads of dice, but they were nervous as heck. Normally whenever you're rolling loads of dice and you're looking for a 6, you're going, brilliant, I'm rolling loads of dice, it's brilliant. But in this context, you're rolling, I'm rolling, and I might get a 1. Because as well as your chance of going up to 6, your chances of hitting that 1 and causing that panic increase. So there's a very, very stark choice in front of you. That impressed me a lot. I really liked that. The other thing that stood out was having a pool. I like pool RPGs. I've come more and more towards those, purely because building a pool of dice makes it just a bit more predictable in some respects, but it's still got the unpredictability of the dice roll itself. As a GM, I would encourage you, and if you're going to GM this, you do the roll for the dice of the panic, because it builds up more tension, and that's the whole point of that panic. So if you do it behind the screen, you roll it, then you call it, and you tell them what's happening. And this is a narrative system. This is not a crunchy system, this is a narrative system. There's an interesting thing about the xenomorphs, I would say. Another little tip, and one thing that really struck me that you have to think about in advance, because it's all about building that tension. As a GM, you want to be rolling dice continuously, even if you don't need to. Because what you don't want is rolling a dice and then going, hang on, something's happening here. You want to check if the xenomorph has observed them or not, because the fact you've rolled it says there's something in the room. But if you roll every time they come into a new room, they won't know that. So you just keep rolling all the time. And if they do make the assumption there's something going on in here because he's rolling the dice, they're going to feel as if, oh my goodness, how lucky were we got away with it that time if nothing happens. And you've just rolled a dice behind the board, behind the screen, to hoodwink them in effect. And I think that's just one of the, it's just a little tip, but the xenomorphs, because you have to roll an observation to see if they pick up, if they stay passive, if they're passive in the room, it can be a giveaway they're in the room, it can be a giveaway they're in the air vent, it can be a giveaway they're nearby, and and I would suggest that you roll continuously, just keep rolling dice behind your screen, because then it blanks, it hides it, conceals what's going on. Weapons in this are really flavoursome, characters are really flavoursome. Another little bit in here, didn't come into play too much with ours because there were only 2 characters, but in a bigger party it would be a big thing, is agendas. So agendas is another really nice thing. And basically, especially in cinematic, they've done some really smart stuff. I mean, sorry, this is clever, and it's simple, but it's very clever. So each character, you get them an agenda, and that agenda they are trying to do. In the cinematic one, they're trying to do it. In that episode, that's their aim. And as a GM, you reward good role play. So if somebody's doing that and clearly trying to forward that agenda, they get a point. Not their character, they as a player get the point. And what that means is they get an experience point, helps them make decisions as characters. So you can have a character who dies, but you've role played them well, and they've died, and it would be appropriate that they died. You still end up better off as a player. That's clever. I really like that, because in this game, you are going to have characters bleed out and pass out and get eviscerated and die. You know, it's going to happen. But the beauty of it is, you can still improve your lot as a player. So because if you've role played it well, if you've made it the way it should be, if you've played according to those agendas, you're going to end up with experience points, which is brilliant. I like that. I like the fact that the experience points followed the players, and that's one of the things that really struck me about this. It felt like the cinematic mode wasn't an add-on. It was a well fleshed out, integrated way of playing. It was a way of thinking. And whenever you look at this more and more in the game, you realise, yeah, actually that's the case. It's well thought out. There's lots of steps to this. There's lots of things I could dig into and pull out, and lots of, the xenomorphs themselves. I haven't mentioned this. The xenomorphs have got, I'll see if I can find one here, but they have a table for their attacks, which I thought was brilliant. So at one point we had one of our guys kind of get mesmerised because the xenomorph happened to roll a sort of mesmerising hypnotic attack on the character, and I thought that was just really nice. And it was kind of things like that were quite good fun, and you sort of find yourself going, oh my word, that's just an awesome moment. So if I can find this, it'd be lovely. Yeah, so for instance, stalkers. I don't know if you can see this, but I hope you can. Oh, it's in the screen. Yep, you can. So stalker, you roll a dice to see what attack they're going to get, which is kind of cool. So hypnotizing gaze was this one. So these are different attacks. That's really good and flavoursome. Again, unlike some of the free league games, as GM, I'm actually rolling dice for a free league game. A lot of the time, playing Tales from the Loop, you don't actually roll an awful lot of dice as a GM in that game. But in this one, you do. And actually, it's quite nice that. And then there's another factor, which is acid splash, which is quite cool. The acid splash meant that if I kill something, it will damage me. There's a good chance it will damage me unless I've got some kind of armour, which was kind of cool and could have created a lot more problems than it did, but was awesome. You've got this whole... the thing I really liked about this was you've got this whole tension all the way through. It's the tension of the game that's hard to convey, and it feels like Alien should feel. It feels like, oh my goodness, if you were in that world, what the heck is going on? How are we going to survive this? It definitely felt like that. It feels a lot like, and it transcends. It could have become a dungeon crawler. It is not a dungeon crawler. This is not your This is not a hack and slash, run around, kill everything kind of game. This is a survival game. This is a game where your characters are going to be doing something beyond that sort of murder and hobos thing. That's not the way to play this. You can try that, it's not going to end well. Because in this game, it's a lot more nuanced than that. There's a lot more depth to it, I think, than that. It's a lovely, lovely system. There's lots of different bits and pieces in here. Like I've said, there's tons of bits. There's lots of weapons and stealth modes and things if they're detected or not detected, and you've got motion detectors, and you've got space stuff, and you've got campaign mode and all that. But fundamentally, what it'll come down to is this, and I suppose this is just my basic review. Does it feel like Alien? Yes. Is it an easy to understand rule system on one level? Yes. So you'll be able to lift this and play it relatively quickly. If you've played a few RPGs, you're going to have no problem playing this. Is there depth in it to keep you satisfied and interested? I would say so. You're going to have to think as a GM for your party, what way are you going to campaign it, if you're going to campaign it, and you're going to have to work that out. But in common with quite a lot of free league stuff, you will spend a fair bit of time prepping and actually not a lot of stress in the game. Okay, so it's one of those, if you prep it well, it'll run quite, it'll help. And yeah, of course your party's going to do some random stuff, but these are quite flexible narrative rules. You'll be able to work around them. So, and work with them. They're not, you don't feel as if you're trying to, trying to divine a foreign language. It feels like you're really a lot more straightforward than that. So is there depth here for campaigns? I would say so. I think the world's very well developed. I think that the stuff in the book helps you to do a campaign well. You can do space truckers, you can do colonial marines, You can do people out in the wild frontier. There's lots of stuff you can do here. You could run this and not see any aliens for quite a while and have an absolute ball. Next question, is it good value for money? Yeah, because you're going to be able to campaign it. The thing I think this is brilliant for, and this is its real strength to me, I think this is probably one of the best one-shot things I've seen in a long time. So, because of that idea that I can give a character, I can give a player the experience points in cinematic, you can have some fantastic one-shots with this. And that's actually very, very useful for people in clubs. I think that's, you know, club play, this is a real fantastic game. Because in those, a lot of us struggle to get parties. We struggle to get a party that's consistently got everybody coming to it. But we've got we have players who'll dip in and dip out. It's brilliant for this. I think this is an awesome system for that. So I can see me doing a series of one-shots, lots of different sort of situations where you're trying to escape. And a few players will come along and have XPs and build up characters within that, but their characters may not survive. I can see it being one of those games that's just awesome from that point of view. I loved it, absolutely adored it. I thought it was, we had an absolute ball with it, and it felt really nice. It wasn't too easy, but it certainly wasn't too difficult to GM. The players seemed to really enjoy it, and we had a good chat afterwards, and it was this tension was the big thing that kept coming through, and the fact you're making choices in a way that if it makes you, it really rewards you if you role play well. It really does, and it's not in a, you know, putting on silly voices kind of way, but in a, actually, what would you really do in this situation, and playing your character and what they would do in that situation was really good. So it's a definite thumbs up. I would say go get it. You won't regret it. I think it's a really nice system, and that I'm somebody who's always a bit reluctant with saying things that have got a property that I know well and a universe that I know well. I'm always a little bit. They can work out badly. I think this works out awesomely. I was excited but nervous about it before. I'm just now excited about it. It's brilliant. Go get it. Go get it. Now we do a lot of content around role playing on this channel, and if you would like to support us, the easiest way to do that is to subscribe, and there's a button down here, I believe. Also, we've got t-shirts and hoodies, and we are completely independent. Everything that you see on screen is something that we've bought with our own pennies and pence. And if you buy one of those t-shirts or you buy one of those hoodies, you support us in buying more stuff to put on the screen so you can have a look at it. And there's tons of unboxings and things on there to have a look at already, because we're all addicted. But yeah, you're more than welcome to join, and please buy a t-shirt. But anyway, whatever your choice, go out and buy this game. It's awesome. And have a lovely evening. Good night.